all the dirty niggas dead. These kids, one like to live is so hard. Stick to me close.
Yeah, baby. 1999. Gotta lock your stuff up. All right, we're gonna train a little bit of chest today. Like routine, doesn't it? Every year, same old thing, but this year is gonna be different. Las Vegas, my second home. I'm gonna come in here and do some chest for you. I'm kind of curious what these other guys did in this last year. If nothing else, Ronnie Coleman was very inspiring pulling off what he did last year. So my training this year has been nothing but focused and inspiring. We'll get more into that after I knock out some chest for you. Let's rock and roll. Last time I was on the scale, I was about 217 pounds a week ago. Last year on stage, I was about 217 pounds. So I'm right where I need to be in terms of saying last year I think I might have been about 5 pounds too much. Just gonna warm up with a few more warm-up sets before I put some weight on the bar. But ironically this year I stayed heavy strength-wise. I'm losing the weight, but my strength isn't going down. Purposefully training with a little heavier weight. I'm trying to keep the solid thickness and the roundness of the muscle while getting more ripped than I was last year. So I hope to step on stage right around 212. Last year was about 217, so I'm on target. I got about a week more of training, and then after that, it's just straight posing. So let's rock and roll. It's 145 pounds. I usually work my way up to 175 in the off season. But in the off season, I'm about 15 pounds heavier, so I surprised myself a little bit. May not be a lot of weight to the bigger boys, but to me, it's a lot of weight. 5'7", 212 pounds. After dieting for 3 months, throwing around 145 is kind of impressive under the conditions of hour and a half of cardio, 2 or 3 carbohydrate meals, eating 6 times a day and not really getting much sleep. And I'm drinking about 2.5 gallons of water. So any of the top level bodybuilders understand you don't get a whole lot of sleep when you're training for a contest. You're always running back and forth to the bathroom, peeing out all the water because we don't have the carbohydrates and sodium in our system to retain that water. So a lot of tossing and turning. I actually start to fall asleep early in the morning, which is time for breakfast. So for me, that's a lot of weight. Probably one of the most overrated exercises there is. The #1 pec injury exercise there is. How much weight I can bench. So that's a question that doesn't really pertain to bodybuilding. You got to be strong, there's no question. But trying to monitor your progress by the bench press is the #1 mistake you can make. You can ask Richard Sparry, Barry DeMay, John Brown, even Kevin Levrone, and more recently Craig Titus about how important it is to have a 500-pound bench. I mean, it sounds impressive, but at the end of the day, when you take your shirt off, you better hope you got the pecs. It's a little harder. No workout partner this year. Train by myself, but I like it that way. Train by myself, rely on myself. I never really criticize people for having a good support group. You need that. This year I've had a very good support group outside of bodybuilding, which helps take me away from bodybuilding. And what makes my competition preparation even more rewarding when it's all over with, whether it's 2nd or 5th or whatever, is knowing that I did it all single-handedly and by myself. Found the desire and drive to get out of bed when I didn't want to, train when I didn't feel like it, overcome relationships and things. Last year I was a little bit preoccupied with a relationship, thinking about getting engaged and getting married and selling my house and buying a new house and satisfying a second individual. And at the end of the day, the #1 thing that suffered was my passion for life right now, and that's my competition preparation. And ultimately, the relationship dissolved. It didn't work out, and we shook hands and went our separate ways, which added fuel to the fire this year because I didn't have anybody but myself to concentrate on. But my supporting cast outside the gym kept the focus. Appreciate all the emails and all the fan support and fan letters with my relationship situation, because a lot of times that can take you away from your goal, and relationships are very demanding. So having to be pulled in one direction or the other is a tough, difficult way to train and get ready for a contest. And I think my placement reflected that my mind wasn't into the game last year. This time my mind is focused on the game, focused on my body. It'll probably be a lot easier to deal with whatever placement they have in store for me a lot easier because it's all a reflection of what I've done this year. Since March, being in my own house and being on my own, definitely gave me a renewed vigor to focus on my goal, which is trying to win that trophy or at least get it, do the best I can. So I have nobody to point fingers at this year. Not that last year's experience wasn't pleasurable, it was. I enjoyed the ride. But there was a lot of lessons learned last year that I applied to this year's preparation. And more importantly, I realized that this is my passion. This is my calling. Win, lose, or draw, I reap what I sow. I like to wear long sleeve shirts, stay warm, break a good sweat. Of course, if you're gonna wear any long sleeve shirts, you gotta make sure they're breathable. And if this sounds like a commercial, it is. That's why I wear Max Muscle. It's my clothing sponsor. All right, just a finishing exercise for me. This isn't something I do year round. I picture myself doing a little most muscular pose. So I can squeeze the fibers right at the very end, right in the middle of the pecs. Now, I know you want to see, we'll get to that. But this isn't an exercise that's gonna build up the pecs, but it'll definitely help rip them up. So if you get into the habit of wearing clothes while you're training, you actually have to feel the muscle being worked rather than trying to look in a stupid mirror, taking your mind off the muscle. So that's why I wear clothes when I train. Obviously, we're making a video, so it will come off, but let me just get a little bit more blood in my system. I don't like to be distracted looking at myself in the mirror when I'm training. That's why you see me wearing long shirts and long sleeves when I train, because there's nothing to see. It's all about the mind and muscle control and connection. So that's chest in a nutshell. 4 simple exercises, 4 sets, 10 days out from the Mr. Olympia. At this stage, I'm not gonna get any bigger, so I'm definitely training for a little more hardness. I'm adding tanning, and I'm doing a lot of posing after I get done training. I'm cutting back on the cardiovascular. Because with my weight where it's at, there's not a whole lot of body fat to come off, just some water weight, and I'll lose that during my sun tanning and my posing. So let's go over to my favorite spot in the gym and hit some poses for you real quick.